Hi, everyone. I'm Brandon Valentine from Homebrew. If you're here for the Homebrew talk, you're in the right place. If that's not the talk you're here for, you're in the wrong place. If you were looking for the guy with the giant beard in your program, you have found him. Thank you all for coming out. I am really, really grateful to be here at my first ever MacAd. I have already met a lot of very cool and very fun people, so thank you to everyone who stopped by our booth to say hi. I hope you're all having fun. We're going to talk about Homebrew some today, but this is not merely a product pitch. I really have worked hard to share maybe some lessons from my career that I think IT admins can carry forward in their relationship with developers. We are going to talk a lot about developers today. I'm hoping if you're here, you have software developers on Macs at your company. If that's not the case, this might not be super relevant to you. I do want to leave time here at the end for a healthy Q&A. So if you have a question, please hold it to the end. I learned yesterday in my demo that you have a lot of questions about what it is we do and what we're up to. I want to make time to answer those. So let's get into it. So most of you in the room probably know something about Homebrew, but I find more and more that IT folks are maybe not a Homebrew expert. If you are a Homebrew expert, the next few slides are going to be a bit remedial. But that's OK. I'm going to give you something productive to do. If you're tempted to look at your phone, go scan this QR code or go to this URL and get a downloadable copy of our Homebrew cheat sheet. This will also give me your contact details. There's a lot of you and one of me at this conference. I can't connect with everyone. I would really love to connect with you after the fact. OK, so what is Homebrew? It's the Mac App Store, but for developer tools. The Mac App Store does not contain most developer tools. It probably never will. Most Mac users don't care. And most of these apps are command line apps. They don't really fit into the paradigm of the Mac App Store. So this is the magic of Homebrew. Whatever it is you need to do your job as a developer is one command away. It's that easy. You can upgrade things. And it's everywhere. Every developer on a Mac uses Homebrew. It's such a gold standard that Apple themselves, anytime they're planning a major change to the Mac platform, they reach out to the open source project and say, hey, sign this NDA real quick. We want to tell you about something. Because they want to make sure that Homebrew works on day one. So it really does have everything. There's over 15,000 things you can install, from GUI, third-party, commercial apps, open source, command line apps, even fonts. Yeah, fonts. So that's Homebrew, but like, what's my deal, right? Like, what do I have credibility-wise to offer you? Well, you know, I've been at this 25 years, and I spent the first half of it as a system administrator. You can see 18-year-old Brandon over there on the end. And I spent the second half of my career as a software developer. I've sort of seen Homebrew from both sides. And for the last 5 years, I worked in consulting. I worked at GitHub. I taught people about how to use GitHub. I taught IT people how to manage and administer GitHub. And a lot of times, I got an earful from the developers about the IT folks, and I got an earful from the IT folks about the developers. And I've come away with some things I want to share with you. So what did I learn? So for the Jurassic Park fans in the crowd, life does find a way. You know, you'll hear me say this often. If we work together, you're probably tired of hearing me say it. But if you want someone to do something, you have to make the right thing to do the easy thing to do. And consistency matters. So, all right, there's a lot going on this slide. I'm going to break it down. So over here on the left, you have a classic meme from urban planning. So urban planners call what you see there a desire path. All the gates in the world are not going to stop a determined user from doing what they want to do or going where they want to go. So over here on the right, is an example of developers finding a way. It took me less than a minute to find this on Google. The instructions there do not require sudo, and they work. And when you get to the end of the process, you will have a fully functional copy of Homebrew installed in whatever directory you want, probably in some place that's hard for IT and security to find and keep track of. And I see a lot of heads nodding in the crowd. That's not great. So what you want to do is you want to make the right thing the easy thing to do. So I can call developers lazy because I am a developer. I have been one for over a decade. But it's true. If you give developers an easy way to do the thing they want to do, they're going to take it. They really don't want extra work. So consistency, right? So if you let developers find their own path, then you're going to end up in a situation where you can't answer questions about what it is the developers are doing, what they have installed, and what your exposure is to third-party software. So if you install Homebrew in a way that is consistent, you can then ask questions about it. In databases, we call this normalization. Normalized data, you literally query. If you see over here on the left, I have a screenshot from OS Query. There's probably some OS Query users in the room. If you're not an OS Query user, you've probably at least seen the project. They take this to its logical extreme. There's literally a SQL-like query language for what is going on in your Mac fleet. If you have normalized data, you can report on it. And most importantly, you can look security in the eye when they ask you about vulnerabilities. So, I mean, that's great, but like, okay, how do we get there? So, I believe that your developers are going to get Homebrew on their machine one way or another. So you might as well be in control of how it gets installed and where it gets installed. But I also believe that you have to offer developers something in exchange for IT having a little bit more control. And those things are to help automate their onboarding. So every single developer team on the planet has a wiki page or a README that they've been toting around for years. And it starts out, step 1, install Homebrew. Step 2, install these 27 packages that you need to do your job. Let them retire that README. Let them retire that wiki. Help them automate this. They will get value out of IT having more control. And then finally, I want you to collaborate with your developers. I think a lot of the animosity or tension that emerges between software development teams and IT teams is a direct result of a misunderstanding. IT are just trying to do their job. Software developers are just trying to do their job. But if you can work together and give developers a voice in how Homebrew is installed on their machine and how their onboarding works, they'll trust you, and they'll come to you when they need help. So there's a couple different ways to get Homebrew on the device. One of them is officially from the open source project. If you are not a Workbrew customer, you can go out and grab this package installer. It does work. There's some caveats. It needs to be run as the end user of the device. So if you're going to distribute this through your MDM, there's some how-tos out there on how to accomplish that. But it's not super straightforward. Or you can use Workbrew. The Workbrew installer package is free. I do mean free, like there are no strings attached. You can just go get it. And it will install Homebrew in a predictable, consistent way that you can report on. We'll also give you a bunch of that reporting for free out of the box. So if you're thinking about doing this, you're thinking about trying it out, I would encourage you, don't go through the rigmarole of trying to make open source Homebrew work for you. We've got a solution for you. Oh, there we go. All right, so I asked you to improve developer onboarding. So you have some options here. If you've got Homebrew on the device, you can roll your own custom MDM scripts, right? You can work with the developers on that. You can find out what it is they need to do their job. And you can make sure that it's on their new Mac when they need it. Of course, there is a concept in Homebrew called a brew file. So a brew file is a declarative list of software that you want installed on a device. You can, instead of a custom MDM script, maybe distribute brew files to the machines in your fleet. There's lots of how-tos out there. You can definitely Google that and figure out a way to get it done. But we built the feature right into Workbrew because we think it's that valuable and it's that compelling for developers. It's also newly available in our free plan. You get exactly one default package set for your software developers. So if you want to test out Workbrew, I would encourage you to try that feature. So I also want to encourage you to collaborate. So if you are writing these onboarding scripts for your developers, put it somewhere that they can access it. Spin up a Git repo. Work in a ticket. Whatever it is that your company culture does, do it in the open. Let the developers know what you're up to, let them suggest improvements, and let them have some ownership over what you're doing. If you can build some trust with them and give them some ownership, they will give you a lot more leeway. And a lot of that tension that you often feel can fade away. Of course, in Workbrew, we have default packages, and we do have some RBAC controls available that will allow you to create user roles that you can give to development managers. Maybe you don't want them having all that data about all the stuff out in the fleet, but maybe you do want to let them modify onboarding. So I want to wrap that up. There's safety in numbers. The more people at a company that you can get on the same page about how developers install software, the more successful you're going to be. The more confidence you will have in your security posture, the easier it will be to answer questions from not only security, but maybe corporate legal has an interest in open source software, right? So you want to be able to answer those questions, and you don't want to waste a lot of time trying to answer them. So safety in numbers. I also want to encourage you to make the right thing to do the easy thing to do. I think it's easy to think about security controls as taking something away, but if you make it so valuable and so easy for the end user, they're not going to create that desire path and go around your gate. They're just going to walk through it. And I want you to collaborate. I want you to be on the team with the developers, not on the outside looking in, and not trying to figure out the ways in which they've circumvented your controls. And of course, I want to talk about Workbrew in a little bit more detail, because I'm going to guess that's why most of you are here. So why doesn't Homebrew just do this stuff, right? Well, Homebrew is an open source project. It's all volunteer, and their ability to support complicated configurations is very limited. So they're single player by design. They make this assumption that you, the person installing Homebrew, own your Mac, you have root, and you can do whatever the heck you want. That doesn't work at work. Businesses need control. There's also no visibility, right? Out of the box, the developer is the only person who knows what's on that machine. And there's also no guardrails. There's no ability to enforce common sense policies across your fleet. So what could you do about that? Well, you could keep doing what you've been doing, which is looking the other way. That is, I think, often our #1 competition, apathy. So you could write a policy document, and you could hope that people go read it and comply with it. Or you can invest a lot of time and engineering effort to roll your own. And over the last decade, there have been countless organizations that have done just this. I'm seeing people from Jamf nodding at me. They've seen it. But I believe that all of that duplicated effort across all of these organizations is a waste of time. You are all very smart, hardworking people who have too much on your plate already. It shouldn't be on you to figure all of this out. So we created enterprise-ready Homebrew. Security teams love it, developers love it, IT loves it. And it's designed for scale. It takes the single-player Homebrew experience and makes it multiplayer. So what do you get? You get a ton of observability. You get to see when people in your fleet are vulnerable to security concerns, when they have violated your policies, and you get to decide, am I going to automatically remediate these things? Maybe you want a softer hand. Maybe you want to go talk to the team that is in violation of the policy and understand their use case. I am, one of these days, going to click this button once and not twice. So you also get a lot of remote management capabilities in Workbrew. So anything you can do on the command line with Homebrew can be done remotely. It can even be scheduled. Maybe IT wants to do something at midnight on Saturday. That's possible. Machines that are offline will execute their remote management as soon as they wake up. So you also get real-time CVE data about security vulnerabilities in your fleet. We will link you directly to the text of the CVE. We will let you make up your own mind about the severity, though as you can see, if we get a severity score, we'll roll that up for you as well. We give you one-click buttons to upgrade those packages and remediate things right away. If you're on our enterprise plan, you actually can just have these upgrades happen automatically. You'll get notified, but nobody in IT will have to log into anything or be up late. Workbrew will just do it for you. So if you are interested in hearing more about this, I would really encourage you to go to this link up here. You have full access to my calendar through this link, and that's on purpose. I have all the time in the world for my friends in IT. I would really love to make some for you, give you a one-on-one demo, particularly if you missed our demo yesterday. Please do this. So hopefully, I have now left plenty of time for Q&A. And I see our gentleman back here with the microphone. If you'll hold up your hand for him, if you have a question. Shy. Yes.
So let's say that you roll out Workbrew and the user, just so everyone can hear. Okay, yeah, let's say that you roll out Workbrew and end users are still installing Brew in like the desktop directory. Is there any functionality built in for that, or have you come across that scenario?
Yeah, so honestly, the biggest thing that I think trips up new companies who roll out Workbrew is they never update that wiki page that says step 1, install Homebrew. It seems obvious, but I've had it happen countless times. So you'll have Workbrew on the device, and someone will go read the wiki page, and they'll go get the Homebrew installer, and it'll say, give me sudo, and they'll say, yeah, no problem. And then it's just going to overwrite Workbrew. The good news is that it's very easy to remediate. Our installer is idempotent. You just push it again from your MDM, and it'll fix it. I have actually seen in our pipeline right now, there's a PR that should land soon that will actually alert you when that happens. So we are aware of that, and it's happened enough times that we're going to tell you.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, thanks for that.
Mm-hmm. I guess you all got your questions out yesterday? William up here has a question.
Oh, hang on. We'll come to you next.
All right.
Cheers. Yeah, no. Just a quick one. So just on that point, so if developers already have Brew installed with Workbrew, that's just going to like reinstall, take ownership, etc. But everything they had pre-configured before is just going to be there untouched and be maintained by Workbrew going forward. So they're going to have no unhappy developers going, you've messed up my config.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So our installer will look for Homebrew if it's already on the device, and it will convert that installation to be compatible with Workbrew. It will then inventory all the packages that have been installed and report that to you without removing them. So the developer will continue to have the same experience they had before. In many cases, until they bump up against a policy that you have set, they might not even realize you have taken over their Homebrew installation, with the notable exception that policy support in Homebrew does allow you to automatically remove packages which violate your corporate policy. So what we recommend to new customers is that you leave that setting off for a little while you convert everyone to using Workbrew. Because as you do that, you're going to gain visibility you didn't have before into what people are using and what's popular. And you may find that something that is on your banned software list is actually a day-to-day part of what developers are doing, and that's a conversation you need to have before you forcibly remove it.
Unfortunately, I've had time to think about my question, and I do realize that it is a bit dumb, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
That's my favorite kind.
Yeah, I'm going to
Let's
ask
go.
it. I'm going to ask it anyway because, you know,
Yeah.
the reasons. So one of the problems that we've come across with Homebrew, we provide Homebrew as a package in self-service, and then of course users go and upgrade to macOS 15, and because we haven't got the time and we don't have the resource and we don't update packages every time there's a new version, all the macOS 15 users are going, it's not working. And the reason being, of course, is that it's OS version specific. With Workbrew, so my thought was when I saw that, I was like, oh, why can't they just install it and auto-update it? Because it's got the brew update command, can't it? Be clever enough to do that. And yes, I realize the dumb of the question, but Workbrew, is there a plan to make it a one-time installer that then, once it's installed, it goes, wait, hang on, can I run on this system? Or yes, I should update myself, and so that it makes my life a lot easier. I have to package it once, maybe twice a year, and be done.
So a few different components to the answer here. So the Workbrew installer itself, when it's installed on the device, will be self-updating. So as new versions of Workbrew are released, the agent will download that new version and install it on the machine. Now, I will say that with the caveat, it's been my experience that works about 90 to 95% of the time. Somebody in your organization who has sudo access is definitely going to do something weird to their machine and break the installer, though we do report that to you. So if a machine is failing to self-update, you at least get notified. You can go figure out what they did. Often, again, the fix is just to push the Workbrew installer again and let it correct whatever they've done. Also, anytime Homebrew runs a brew command on the device, if Homebrew itself has not been updated in a while, it's actually going to go update itself as well. Yes. And so by the nature of having Workbrew installed and the fact that it is regularly querying Homebrew in various ways on these devices, Homebrew itself stays up to date. So it's very rare that over a major version upgrade, you would see that because it's quite likely, like it's statistically likely that Homebrew has been updated sooner than that major version has not been supported. And Homebrew also is very committed to supporting the last several major versions of macOS, and even has CI in place that makes sure it continues to work for a while. So you're also not in a situation where you have to like force everyone to upgrade macOS right away.
Hi, so I have a general question. How does Workbrew work regarding detecting brew instances that are not installed in the default location? So users who are getting around without needing to use sudo.
Yeah, so today we don't explicitly search the file system for them. We do search the file system for the official Homebrew installation. We have debated adding that feature. I would actually love to talk to some of you after this and get your feedback about it. What has kept us from doing that is we have a lot of customers in regulated industries where what is happening on the Mac and what that developer is working on is considered sensitive or a trade secret. And so us searching through the file system and looking through the user's home directory seems invasive. And it seems like we might be gathering data that that customer does not want us to have. So if you have a strong feeling about that one way or the other, I'd love to hear it. And you're welcome to raise your hand here and we can continue the conversation. But I think it's open for debate right now.
Hello. I want to ask if Workbrew has certain plans to have ITSM integration and orchestration, because earlier we have that principle, make the right way easy way. And for a big enterprise, usually we have ITSM tool like ServiceNow, where the users go to for request and stuff. And integration and orchestration. And number one is CMDB record of those installation of Brew packages is also good to see on ITSM. Is there any plans on that particular roadmap?
So to make sure I understood, you want to know if there's anything in the roadmap around SEM integration? Is that correct? Did I hear that? Oh, ServiceNow, yes. So I think there's a couple things. One, we allow you to configure the error messages that your users see when they violate a policy or they try to install something that's not allowed. That includes the ability to direct them somewhere like ServiceNow in order to request a policy change or access to a package they don't currently have access to. So we've done our best to make that as flexible as we can, knowing that there are always going to be specific workflows that are unique to your company that we might not support out of the box. We also offer a full REST API for everything in the product. So you are able to build whatever sort of ServiceNow, et cetera, integration you want. And I think that is probably the answer to what you're asking and probably what you're looking for. All right. We can wait a minute or two more, but I think if no one else has any more questions, we might be back on track on the schedule for today, which I know that there is a drawing coming up soon, so we definitely want to be on time to that. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. I'm having a great time at my first Mac Ad, and if you haven't been by the booth to say hi, please come by. We will be sponsoring the happy hour later from 6 to 8. So if nothing else, I will cheers you there.